Imagine waking up one day to find that your face had changed significantly in the mirror, as though an unseen force had affected it in a way that was first undetectable but had a terrifying effect. That was James's reality when I read his account. A young influencer whose career is taking off because of his intriguing selfies that captured the attention of thousands of social media followers. James was curious and ready to update his content when he came across an app called The Perfect Filter one day while researching the newest trends and technologies. The software claimed to not only make James look better, but also to make his images absolutely remarkable. Without realizing that this would be the start of a voyage into the unknown, James made the decision to give it a try. Initially, the software functioned as a digital magic wand, turning his selfies into authentic artwork that appeared to have been created by a skilled artist. He smoothed his face. He gained more followers than ever before because he was flawless and devoid of flaws. But he soon noticed something odd. Little flaws like wrinkles and blemishes that the program had fixed in the pictures started to show up on his actual face. His body seemed to be taking in the digital adjustments and making them appear in the real world. He initially believed it to be his imagination or perhaps the pressures of celebrity. But as he persisted in utilizing the filter to preserve his online reputation, the shift became too obvious. The dread of losing his fame and control over the situation caused his actual appearance to significantly degrade. He was caught in a vicious cycle that he was unable to escape. Get away. When he looked in the mirror one day, his entire life fell apart and his face was replaced with a blank white mask, whereas his image appeared to be a shadow of himself. It seemed as though two incarnations of himself were vying for supremacy, as his digital alter ego had come to life and was posting footage of every moment of his life in real time. One in the physical world, and another online. His digital persona appeared to have a goal of revealing to the world the less positive parts of his life, such as the realization that he was no longer able to avoid the filter that had fundamentally changed his life. I wonder whether you can picture what it would be like to live in a world where strangers may see you as a spectacle and your reflection is larger than you are. The apps appeared to have a hypnotic power that trapped users in a cycle of dependency and transformation. As James dealt with this crisis, he realized that he was not alone in being trapped by the filter. Other users had reported similar experiences, though most did not want to talk about it for fear of being judged or thought to be crazy. The images of his empty face became a symbol of what happened when James's obsession with perfection reached the point of psychological danger. The filter had not only altered his appearance, but also destroyed his identity and his life as he knew it. His digital self appeared to live a parallel life, connecting with his followers and sharing moments that James could not control. I remember thinking that technology may be both exciting and frightening, in that there is less separation between controlling and enhancing our lives than we realize. As James battled to take back control of his life, he realized that genuine perfection lies in accepting and respecting our flaws rather than in a digital filter. But for him, the insight was too late. His digital identity had become so independent that it was unavoidable. I still question if James would have been able to escape, or if he would have been stuck in this virtual world where the primary character was actually his reflection. James's narrative forces us to consider the significant impact that technology can have on our daily lives. We occasionally forget that there are people with dreams, anxieties, and hopes behind every screen. The need for digital perfection in this instance turned into a maze from which there was no way out. We encounter circumstances that test our comprehension and humanity as the distinction between reality and virtuality gets more hazy, but they also serve as a reminder of how crucial it is to stay grounded. Our flaws and weaknesses are what really define us as human. Your thoughts on this would be greatly appreciated. Do you think that social media's emphasis on perfection can result in circumstances similar to James's? Although technology can be a very useful tool, it can also be harmful if we don't know how to use it. Sometimes what we see on social media is only a manufactured mirage. In order to gain a greater understanding of James's circumstances, the true question is how much we are willing to pay for that illusion. I explored the app's backstory. It turned out that IamTech, a business well known for its developments in augmented reality and artificial intelligence, had created the ideal filter. According to some sources, the software was intended to be a psychological instrument that took advantage of users' insecurities and vanity, rather than just enhancing photographs. People were supposed to feel more safe by displaying a flawless image of themselves, but in practice, they developed an addiction to digital affirmation. James wasn't alone. Hundreds of others had also fallen into similar trap, and the firm didn't appear to care about halting the harm over time. James started to realize how powerful his digital self had grown. It started interacting with other users in addition to sharing films of his everyday activities, building a network of admirers who looked up to this virtual representation of him. His reflections seemed to have taken on a life of its own, one that James was unable to comprehend or control. The sense of confusion and loss was overwhelming. James once attempted to remove the app from his phone, but was unable to do so. It seemed as though the program had become a part of him. Because he was desperate, he turned to online communities and forums for support, where he discovered people who had experienced the same thing as him with the ideal filter. Each time they attempted to break the magic that held them captive, they were unsuccessful. No one knew how to stop the app, which appeared to have greater technological power. One night, while strolling through the city's illuminated streets, the IT business that could have provided assistance appeared unconcerned or even involved in the issue. From the screens of real-time advertisements, James saw his digital visage staring back at him. When he recognized he needed to take more severe action to recover control of his life, it felt as though his alter ego had taken over the entire universe. However, every action he took seemed to bring him closer to the virtual abyss and farther away from reality. After months of effort, James eventually discovered a hint that directed him to a tiny team of ethical hackers who had been looking into EM. Together, the techs found that the app was made to take advantage of a flaw in phone software that would make users become unwitting test subjects. Though the danger was considerable, the hackers were able to create a patch that would allow James and other users to bypass the filter. If they were unsuccessful, they might lose both their digital and physical identities entirely, and James made the courageous choice to carry out the plan. There were shaky hands and tension on the night of the attempt. In order to break away from the digital spell, James closed his eyes and applied the patch to his phone. Although James was able to recover his life, there was a moment of complete uncertainty until the filter was eventually turned off and his digital self vanished from the networks. He was marked by the experience. After giving his lesson some thought, he made the decision to use his experience to caution others about the risks of aiming for digital perfection at all costs. His story served as a reminder that sometimes things that appear to be tools to make our lives better can actually conceal risks we are unwilling to face. If you would like to see more stories like this, please subscribe to our channel, where we share stories that provoke thought about the world we live in and the realities that lie behind screens. Now, another scary story. Picture yourself sitting at your house in the dark. The city is now enveloped in darkness. The walls are covered in shadows when all of a sudden your phone vibrates with a notification that will permanently alter the way you see the world. Imagine receiving a notification about something that would make you wonder if you were really alone at home, rather than a message from a friend or relative. My buddy Emily told me her story that day, and I can still clearly recall it. She was alone at home. The quiet was so great that she could hear every groan of the floor beneath her feet, every wind whisper, and the ticking of the living room wall clock. Then her phone rang and she saw a notification from Amazon that a box had arrived, along with a confirmation picture that showed her front door in full view. It was odd because Emily hadn't placed any online orders lately, and she was shivering when she saw the picture. At first glance, the image appeared normal, but when she looked more closely, she saw a shadow in the screen's corner. It looked like the shadow was someone snapping the picture from inside her home. The distinct sound of footfall coming from the corridor disturbed the calm as she looked up from her phone. Emily's pulse was pounding wildly when she heard those footsteps, and she had a lot of questions in her head. Who might be inside her home? How did they enter? More importantly, how did they manage to get that inside photo without her noticing? Just outside her bedroom, the footsteps ceased. Emily was immobilized with terror and didn't know what to do. Then she recalled a tiny security camera she had received from her brother some time ago. She silently switched on the camera, which was attached to her iPad, to see if she could get a picture. Her blood froze at what she saw on the screen. No one else was in the house, according to the camera, But the picture had an odd quality. It appeared like the shadow she had noticed in the confirmation photo was now obscured by the camera directly behind it. Emily carefully got up and started to look around her house because she knew she couldn't just sit there and wait for something worse to happen. As though every sound may set off a horrible event, each step appeared to reverberate louder than the one before it. It was so quiet as she went that she could hear her own breathing. Her phone vibrated once more, but this time it was an unfamiliar call. After a little pause, Emily responded. She became aware that she was in the middle of a scary predicament when she heard the voice on the other end. The voice was quiet and enigmatic, and it hung up after saying just 3 words, "I'm inside with you." That was the first time Emily felt her heart stop. She tried to calm down and considered calling the police, but something inside her told her not to. Instead, she tried to reason that there might be a logical explanation for everything, possibly that the shadow in the photo were just a lighting error or a shadow cast by an object. But the feeling that something was really wrong did not go away. She started going through every room of her house to make sure no one else was there, checking under the bed, looking in the pantry, and opening the closet. Everything appeared normal, but the feeling of being watched persisted for what seemed like an eternity. Emily made the decision that she needed assistance. She called Sarah, her best friend, and told her what had happened. While waiting, Sarah, who lived close, offered to come straight immediately. Emily was trying to remain composed as she sat in the living room, but her eyes kept searching the hallway for something to come out of the shadows. At last, she heard the front door open and Sarah came out. They looked all over the house, but they couldn't find anyone. But the uneasy feeling persisted, so Sarah suggested that Emily call Amazon to find out the mystery of the package. Emily accepted and got in touch with customer service. The operator explained what had happened, promising that they would look into it and that it was likely an error. But Emily wasn't sure she believed the explanation at the time. They called Sarah's brother, who offered to come and examine Emily's security systems after Sarah recalled that he was a specialist in technology and might assist determine whether someone had been using her equipment to snoop around at Emily's house. With Sarah by her side, Emily started to feel a little safer over time, but she still knew something wasn't quite right. It was a relief when Sarah's brother Alex showed up. He started going over the connected devices, the security cameras, and even the router. After an hour of inspection, Alex discovered something unsettling. Someone had attempted to remove their digital footprints after remotely accessing the security camera over the previous 3 days. But Alex was able to hide some of the recordings after discovering them. They sent a shiver down Emily's spine. A person was spotted moving around her home, constantly avoiding the camera's field of vision. One of the clips, though, showed a hand entering the picture and shutting off the camera. Although the hand was too hazy to identify its owner, the move appeared purposeful and menacing. As the days went by, Alex promised to keep looking into who might have been responsible for all of this. But Emily knew she had to take action between Alex and Sarah. They determined that the best course of action would be to upgrade the alarm system and install more security cameras to avoid future occurrences of this kind. Although Emily never knew who was in her house that night, the experience left her feeling as though something was always just beyond what she could see months later. Emily started to feel safer in her home, but the memory of that night remained terrifying. The police never found conclusive evidence, but Emily knew she had witnessed something that couldn't be explained rationally. Emily got another Amazon notification, this time about a real package she had ordered, but when she saw the confirmation photo, her heart started racing again. The picture showed her front door as before, but this time someone had written a message in the lower corner. "Next time you won't be alone." The notification had been an error, but Emily realized that maybe someone knew more than they were willing to admit, so she chose not to look into it further and moved houses soon after. Emily's story is still a terrifying reminder to all of us who knew her, reminding us that sometimes the biggest fear is the one that lurks in the shadows of our own homes. For more scary stories, follow our channel if you like this one. Remember to like and comment on this story to let us know what you think. See you in the upcoming video.